about the glory of the cross. People see the cross as something terrible. It was terrible. It brings us into a place, Gethsemane, that it declares not my will. They were born to do a divine plan, that which unfolds concerning the people.
We cross our hearts and we
to do what you do. What do you do? What is your gift and your calling? You can only find that out from God.
if we come back.
Yeah, welcome to the Lighthouse Studio. We're going to start a brand new series in this day and hour because we want to start talking about the joy in the journey. And we do know that many people have a joy in their life, but there is a time and an understanding that you must find the joy in the journey. So I'm glad you're gathered here with us because I and Mildred, we're going to talk about the joy of the journey as we go forth. And she's going to join me now on the broadcast, and we're going to see just what the conversation is, because the first people you need to talk about in the joy of the journey, we don't talk about the pain of the journey. We talk about the joys of the journey. Now, everybody has pains. Everybody has growing up understandings, but we want to focus in on my story, her story, and Kamisha's song, because we realize that if you don't have joy for the journey, then you will give up and you will stop in the middle of the journey. But I think that we've come to a place now that I believe that, Mildred, you have come to a place that you have found joy in the journey. But I know the journey might have been difficult, and sometimes it might have been good. But let's talk about your joy and your journey. And tell me a little bit about your hometown and where you're from.
Well, Apostle, my hometown is in a small place called Washington, Georgia,
Okay.
which is called Wilkes County.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born and raised there, and I'm the third of 13. My mother had 13.
Wow.
I'm the third of 13. And I'm also the first one to finish high school.
Mm-hmm.
And
So where did you go to high school?
I went to Washington Wilkes Comprehensive High School
Okay.
in Washington, Georgia. Of course, I graduated.
Uh-huh. So what was that school life like?
It was fun. I mean, it was great. We was doing good in the process before we integrated. Of course, when you integrate, it's going to start some conflicts. But other than that, as time went by, we got used to it, and we got to know the other race. And so a lot of us became friends, in which we are friends today.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about some of the joys that you can remember in your high school days, and you know, when the boys pulling your hair and you're trying to warn them off, and you girl, talk about some of the joys in your journey.
Well,
Uh-huh.
there was a lot of joy in the journey, especially with my classmates, Agnes Chenault
Okay.
and Betty Graves.
Uh-huh.
Those two girls were my best friends.
And they're still your friends now, aren't they?
Of course, we lost Betty on the way.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just Agnes and myself. We don't talk every day, but we talk every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
She always bringing up most of the back in the high school days,
Okay.
and it was just amazing how you mentioned that high school days, because it was just some fun things that happened with us. I'm gonna go back to when we started integrate. Before we were marching,
Okay.
back in the day, and we was I guess 8th or 9th grade, might have been 9 or 10. Anyway, the grade higher than us would always let us know when we were gonna walk out. But every time they want to walk out, they always want to walk out on our lunch break.
Oh, okay.
So they be done had their lunch, and we're just getting into the cafeteria.
Uh-huh.
So we kind of picked up on that because we would go to Reverend Avery's house, and of course Martha, his wife, would have us Kool-Aid and sandwiches when we get there. But we had to get there first to get them.
Oh.
But the other grades, they were higher than us, so they was already full. So they was able to take that long journey.
Now you said something about Reverend Avery. Who is this Reverend Avery?
Reverend Avery is deceased now, and he
Okay.
was kind of like the head, one of the head person of the NAACP at that
Okay.
particular time, and of course a pastor, a well-known pastor in Washington, Georgia, and I think in Athens and Warrenton, different places. He was our mentor, as you could say, for us back in those days, and he would lead us and guide us in right ways.
Okay.
Even when I got grown, and I would go to Reverend Avery for advice, and he gave them to me because his daughter Marie is another one of my classmates,
Okay.
and she and I used to be together, but not like Betty and Agnes. So, but yes, yeah.
But I think I met her, didn't I?
Yeah, you met Marie and her husband Dee,
Okay.
which are some very wonderful people. They fear the Lord,
Okay.
and they just some wonderful people.
Okay. Now back to the joy in high school. Now I understand that you all had some fun moments, and Agnes was one of the ones that the boys sort of liked, huh?
Oh yes, Agnes, and Agnes was a beautiful, and still is.
Okay.
And, the boys really liked that Agnes, and not just Agnes, but some other girls that was pretty. Most of the ones that was out of town, like in Rail and Tignall and Danbury, but the ones in Washington, they really didn't care. They saw us every day.
Oh, okay.
They just saw the other ones in the school. But those, I mean, they were some beautiful girls, and like I say, still some that's still here among us. Our classmates some pretty good people. There's some nice looking women and some handsome young guys.
Oh.
Yeah, that's one thing I can say about class of 1974.
Now one of the things I think happened with that was your first husband. Your husband was sort of in that group, wasn't he? I mean, wasn't he your high school desire? What? Talk to me.
Well, his name was Charles Halls. I didn't really start dating until I got in the 12th grade because I was afraid because I didn't want to get pregnant, but I wanted to finish high school.
Okay.
And I guarded myself, and I didn't start dating. I would talk on the phone, but I did not start dating actually until I got in the 12th grade.
Okay. And you were dating Michael Jackson. And,
Yeah,
you had these fantasies, right?
I had fantasies with Michael Jackson. I remember one time when I first started going out with Charles, and we was, I forgot where we was at, but we were somewhere, him and I think Betty, and I believe Stan. Was it Stan? Might have been Stan. I'm not for sure. Stan or some other guy Betty was dating at that time before she started dating Stan. I'm not for sure. But anyway, Charles put his hands on me, and I looked at him. He put his hand on top of my hands, and I looked at him and I said, "Who do you think you are, Michael Jackson or Donny Osmond?" Because I had a crush on those two celebrities.
So how in the world did you end up having those as celebrities, and what did you see in Charles?
Well, what drew me to Charles, silly, but it's what happened. What drew me to Charles was the way he chewed gum.
Oh, okay.
It was the way he would chew his gum. Even though he was a basketball player, he was among the greatest basketball players back in the day. Matter of fact, he taught me how to play basketball because I went out for basketball, but he had to, coach me into playing basketball. I wouldn't have never made the team. Matter of fact, I made the B team and the varsity because he helped me. And of course, the coach that was coaching at the time, I think she liked the Charles too, and that's why she chose me for the basketball team.
Okay, so sneakingly, he taught you how to play basketball and sort of won your heart because every time he would teach you something, you seen how he chewed that gum. but you know, I mean, later, you know, whenever you are in your high school days, I think all of us have somebody we admired and somebody we liked, and some hooked up and some didn't. But you and Charles sort of hooked up, and that was a relationship that went on for how many years?
25.
25 years. Okay, and you all had children, three. Who talk a little bit about the children? Then we're going to talk about your profession.
But, well, I have three. My oldest one, Sean, and the new baby is Charles Jr., and the baby is Charlene.
Okay.
All of them last name Halls.
Uh-huh.
And what did you want to know about them?
So I know growing up that you worked jobs. Tell me something about some of the things you did after you got your high school diploma, because you was determined to go to high school.
Right.
And after you graduated high school, did it meet your expectation, or did it surprise you like it did me, and then you had to go to work anyway?
Well, after high school, I did go to Athens Technical School.
Okay.
And from there, I went to Phillip College.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went back to Athens Technical College.
Okay.
When I was older, I went back to school when I was older. And of course, here, I went to Justice Fellowship College.
Okay.
Here in North Carolina.
Now you had a passion, and in your passion, the thing you really wanted to do was type. And I found out you're a very good typist, and found out that you love that. So now what that really did in the current, now you work for the school system too, right?
I did.
Okay.
I worked for the school system for over 20 years.
Okay.
And of course, I retired from the school system.
Huh. So when we start talking about all that you learned, going through school, going to technical college, and learning how to type, now I discovered something.
Okay.
I discovered that you was a super fast typist. And so in my life, after we come together, you know, we'll come back on and talk about our relationship later. But now I sort of want to tell your story, because every time I open my mouth, I tell my story. But I don't think you've had the opportunity to tell your story, so I want to give you an opportunity to tell your story. Now, one of the things that we started out, and I says, "Oh, you can type? I think we ought to write a book." Mm-hmm. And so which one did we write first? Just Be a Diamond, a Brilliant Cup? Just Be. Yes.
Just Be.
Okay. So when we did that, what did you learn about your typing skills and how it could help us in our adventure going forth in Justice Fellowship?
Well, I learned that I became your secretary.
Oh. But also you became the one that helped me pen.
Yes.
What? 1, 2, 3, 4 books.
4 books, yes.
Yeah,
4.
Just Be, A Diamond of
Green Cut,
the Apostle
of the Spirit, and Beyond 66 MLK.
Okay, we're going to talk about those as we go into this Joy in the Journey, because when I start telling my Joy in the Journey, we're going to talk about the story of a new joy that we found when we found out about the vision of America. And we talked about the vision of America because Beyond 66, MLK, it really talks about going beyond Martin Luther King, and it introduces us into how we're going to go forward in this 21st century. Because I was on a mountaintop in South Vietnam when Martin Luther was assassinated, and God said to me, "I have preserved you." Now, little did I know that Mildred would be my purpose partner in this adventure, because I thought my first wife, Dorothy, after she passed, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then her husband had passed, so we came together, and now we found a new joy in the journey. Now, here's what I want to introduce them to. When we went to Las Vegas last year, and we went to the Grand Canyon, and you met this remarkable lady named Kamisha Etheridge.
Yes.
Talk to me about that relationship and how it began and how we ended up with this song saying, why do we choose between red, white, and blue?
Well, when I first met her, we was at the Grand Canyon, and I just spoke to her, and that was it. And after that, we went to this walk across the, I don't know what that was, like a dam.
Okay,
We
yeah.
went across there, and so she and Martha Collins was running together.
Okay.
But Kamisha and myself, we didn't really just talk until we got on the bus.
Okay.
And she was behind me and I was in the front, and I just started holding a conversation with her through the little crack of the chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me about her life, what she was doing, and what she was trying to do. And so we just had a conversation, and I said some things to her, and then she told me that what I told her was already told to her. And so that's when we really got to, communicating. And so from there, we started exchanging phone numbers,
Okay.
names and phone numbers, because I didn't know her and she didn't know me. And come to find out, she was from Athens, part of,
Up around Atlanta.
yeah, close to, between Athens and Covington, I think.
Okay.
But it's in the Athens area. And I was from Wilkes County, and so that's how we met. From there, we found out that we was from the same state, and not realizing we were that close neighbors. And so as time went by, she had told me that whenever we was in Georgia to contact her, let her know. So when we did go to Georgia, we did that.
Mm-hmm.
We called her, and we made arrangements to meet in a restaurant
Right.
in Athens, Georgia.
And from there, here is where this vision began to birth.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that I did after we had the meal, I actually gave her one of the books that I had just released in June, and that was the book Beyond 66 MLK. And I shared with her that, and when I gave her the book, I opened the trunk and I had a flag draped in the back of my SUV, and she says, "I got a song that goes with that flag."
Now that was a blanket flag
Right.
that I gave you
Right. Okay.
because I knew you were military.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a blanket flag. It wasn't a flag,
Right.
but it was a blanket flag that we normally travel with
And draped it over.
to cover our whatever we have in the back of the trunk.
Yep. And she began to sing that song a cappella, and I looked at her and I said, "Wait a minute." I says, "I would like to. I believe this is the new national anthem. It really fits all people, and you'll hear the song in and out. But it's why should we choose between red, white, and blue?" And so what I did when I came back, I laced it because I've been talking about George Washington's vision for years. So I said, if the vision has been given, why should we choose between red, white, and blue? And so that's what started a new journey and the joy in this journey. And as we begin to see as this new series take off, we're going to talk about the joy of the journey. And in the joy of the journey, you have heard her story, part of it. You've heard part of my story. You've heard part of the story of how this song and vision took place. Now we're going to bring it all together, and we're going to have a Joy in the Journey series. And inviting to the Joy of the Journey series, we're going to include Dr. Michael L. Collins, which has written the book, make one sound. And this is what we intend to do. We intend to bring all of our joys together so we can make one sound. We can see the same things, speak the same things, and make one sound. And that's the sound of joy. That's the sound of love. That's the sound of peace, going into a united nation. We also going to bring online with us, not only that, but Dr. Louis Dale Morgan and his wife, Deborah Morgan. And they're going to come on board because they are doing this financial group. And it's the Entrepreneur in You, the 7 keys to successful entrepreneur. And lo and behold, Lamar Media Versatility is going to blast it out so everybody can hear. So you all stay tuned for the joy in the journey. And as we begin to close it with this incentive, and as she goes back to the system so she can bring it to an end, I'm going to bring it to a close as we begin to see it. Now, when I start talking about the joy in the journey, I want you to begin to understand your joy in the journey. Because all of us have been born for such a time as this, and we're going to make America great for the first time. And we're going to see a united nation of all people, all ethnic groups, and bringing it together under biotechnology. And that is the science of the 21st century. So come with me on the joy of the journey series. And honey, I thank you for telling your story. Y'all have a good day now.